Hello, welcome to Artists of the Chippewa Valley, the place where we showcase anyone from the Chippewa Valley who is an artist, whether it be jewelry, painting, any type of artistry. We feature them here on our show. And with us today we have Dana Sterzinger, who is a local artist. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I appreciate you having here. Before we got started, we already realized that we have a bond. We're both from little old town of Marshfield. So we've been reminiscing about the fair and all kinds of fun stuff, which cheese curds at the fair,
Yes.
you always have to have those.
First thing I have to have, and some mouse ears.
Yeah, oh, Marshfield Fair actually always had the best mouse ears.
They do.
I can't find them at other fairs.
No,
I don't know why.
Yeah, they're just sad. Or they're like, oh, they're not right.
They're smaller than mouse ears.
Yeah, and they're crispy. And
Anyway, all right, that's not what you're here to talk about, I'm guessing. Instead, we are here to talk about your wonderful art. You are a painter.
Yes.
So you grew up in Marshfield, graduated from high school, moved to Eau Claire. Have you always been painting, or what got you into it?
Pretty much. I pretty much have always been painting. In 4th grade, I was in this extracurricular art program. Like, I had to skip school 4 times a year to go do art all day.
Nice.
And that pretty much just, the rest is history.
Okay.
But yeah, since then I've known that I've always wanted to do art. And it's just always been my way of dealing with life.
Okay.
Growing up, I was always doodling or playing around with my crayons, and always had to have a big bag of art supplies with me whenever we went on a trip.
And parents
I
probably
still do.
Nice. Parents probably appreciated that too, because then they could just say, "Here, Dana, just go play. Just go do your art
go
stuff.
do something." Exactly. So.
What would you say? Well, let's back up first. So you always had art with you. Were you being told in 4th grade and as a young kid that your art was good, or was it something that you feel like you've really developed over the years?
Well, it's definitely developed over the years. I mean, my art teacher was very attentive to me when I was in elementary school, because he was the reason that I got into the program, and so I always had a kind of a notion that I was at least okay, but
so you were born with talent. You didn't acquire your artistic talent.
Not to be to be boastful, but yeah, I guess so.
Okay. So let's go back to what we were talking about with your inspiration, that this, you said, helps you deal with life. Mm-hmm. What kind of a mood are you in when you create a painting? All
sorts of moods. That my emotions tend to, they make my decisions for me. So for like this particular painting, I was really, really mad when I started it, and just very angry. So that's why the predominant color is red. Because I was seeing red. I was so mad, like the expression goes. A different painting that's not with us today is primarily blue, because I was really sad when I started the painting. Like they start there, and then as I'm working, my emotions kind of change and morph into something a little bit more applicable.
Okay. So was this at a particular point in your life? I'm seeing notes, I'm seeing letters of some sort here. What was going on in your life at that point, and how long ago was it that you did this particular
this
piece?
one I actually did, I started December 2011, finished January 2012, which is very unusual for me. I don't usually paint paintings that fast. But I found myself one day thinking about, why do I have all of these journals from high school and from beginning of college that I hold on to them, but I don't want anyone to read them. And I don't even want to read them, but I have them for some stupid reason, so I decided...
It's fun, though, to read them.
Sometimes. I tend to get really mad at my spelling mistakes. But...
So rip them up and put them into a painting.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, well, I'll rip them up and make them into a painting, and then all of those things are on the canvas, and I don't have to think about them anymore, because they're there. If someone wants to take the time and read them, that's fine.
But it's more the overall concept.
Exactly. And for me, and that's why it's called metamorphosis. I took something that was painful and difficult for me, which is what I primarily would journal about, and then I put it on the canvas and made it into this wonderful piece of artwork that now I actually really like my journals. Like I morphed my view of my own life.
Right. Okay. Well, and it looks like, I mean, this isn't just a typical I mean, it's canvas, but you've got a little bit of extra touch in here with kind of crinkling it up and kind of, it looks like you just got to the point where you said, ah!
Yeah.
And you just kind of scrunched it all together.
I really wanted it to show a lot of emotion and anxiety, because like having the canvas taut is easy and it's simple and you get it, but that's not what I wanted to express. I wanted to show how like upset I was, and so I was so upset that the canvas is no longer able to be flat. And I actually did this entire thing on the ground without the support system behind it.
Wow.
So, which made it really difficult to stretch, actually.
Yeah. So you got down on your hands and knees and got really
yeah,
to work
I
on
was
this.
very, like, you couldn't talk to me while I was working on it. I was just so in the zone. But, and really that's what I love to do, that when my artwork is so inspired and so emotionally driven that I just zone out completely and forget about everything else, and that is the only thing I'm thinking about.
Which has to be a huge stress reliever, I would think.
Yes.
For you to be able to just block out everything around you and just paint, just create.
It is the best stress reliever.
How long does it typically take you to do an artwork?
Well, typically I would say about 2 months. But, I mean, that painting only took me about 3 weeks. This painting I worked on for a couple of years, though.
Oh, wow.
Like, this red underpainting is actually a completely different painting initially. And then I added all of this other stuff on top of it.
Okay.
So, like, this one actually is about a 2-year painting.
Wow.
But it also sat, and I thought about it for about 6 months while it was just this, like, red and orange painting underneath, and then added the silver and the black and the blue and the glitter.
It definitely has a very weathered, a very layered look to it. Not being an artist myself, how do you even create that effect?
Well, I found this material, which it's kind of like this packaging material. I've seen it for when people order plates. They put the material in between the plates just to keep them from breaking. And I really wanted to play with how texture and paint would react, how much texture you have to have in order for the paint to move around it. And it turns out you have to have a lot of texture in order to move the paint. So that's kind of where it started, and then I really just started playing with the idea of making a really, really big mess. And this painting looked disgusting for a while. It looked diseased and whatnot. But I was just playing around with what the materials could do. And like I use a lot of matte medium to, it's a clear paint essentially. So then I can start getting the forms and stuff before I start loading on actual paint. So that I can try to get the form there and then add the paint. Otherwise it tends to get muddy really fast.
So there's a lot of paint on this painting.
Yes, this painting is surprisingly heavy. They're actually pretty similar in weight.
Really?
Despite the fact that they're so much different in scale.
So did you not like the original, or did you start this as the original and knew it was going to be layer upon layer?
No, I had no idea that it was going to come out like this. I really, at the time I started it, I wanted to do this really visceral painting that was kind of a predecessor to this one, actually. But then I didn't like the way it looked at that point, and it just kind of sat in my studio, and I had hung it up, and I'm like, we'll come back to you. And after a lot of thinking, I decided to come back to it and just pretty much started the same way I had started initially. Like, I'm going to use this material, and I'm going to see what I can do with it. And it went from there. And
cool.
I never, like, it's named Thicket, actually, because someone had told me that it looks like a birch tree forest at night. Now, we're kind of a little too close to really like get a good idea of that.
Right.
But
well, it's funny you say that. I didn't get the birch out of it, but it did to me look like an evening or a night scene. Trees here, it almost looks like it would be fall because we've got some leaves. I'm almost seeing a little pond there in the forest. So I had no idea if I was way off on that. So
no, it's definitely something I wasn't intentionally doing, but after like a couple people had said it, I was like, oh, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're absolutely right. That's awesome.
A lot of color, a lot of very bold things going on there.
And it actually made me like the painting that much more, too. Because I was like, oh, so that's how you do abstract art. I was focused too much on, oh, okay, so we're going to, if I would have attacked the painting as of, I'm going to do this as a forest, and it's going to be textural, it would have, well, it wouldn't look like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so I need to not think about what it's going to look like and just do it.
So, okay, you're not doing art full-time. That's the goal, eventually.
Eventually.
So you're working full-time elsewhere to actually make a living. How much time do you spend on your paintings? You said you have your own studio, so I'm guessing it's like home away from home?
Yes, definitely. It is. Every time I go there, I'm just like, all of my things.
So
it's just me.
What kind of a time commitment do you spend on painting?
It really varies. My job, I'm more busy at the beginning of the month than at the end of the month. So the end of the month, I take at least one day to have a studio day. And then, so I try to be at the studio around 12 hours a week.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm there more, sometimes I'm there less.
It's
a delicate balance that I'm really struggling with, but I think eventually I'll figure it out.
Well, and it has to be difficult because you can't just go to your studio and sit down with your paintbrush and say, okay, I'm going to be creative.
No.
You know, or you might be at work at your job where you're concentrating and focusing, and you might have this thought for a really cool painting, but you can't get up and go do it.
Yeah.
So creativity is one of those things that it's wonderful, but at the same time I would think it'd be frustrating because you can't predict it.
Frustrating. It was very frustrating. I'm working on getting myself to have a traveling studio in my car so that when I get inspired, then I at least have something that I can create with, whether it's just, even if I'm just doing like a sketch or something. Because my watercolors are very travelable. They travel well.
So you can just pull it out whenever you need to, even on a break at work or something, and jot it down so you know what you're thinking of.
My parents bought me a travel easel, so I have that I can set up too. So I kind of carry it around with me. Like I said, I still carry art supplies with me all the time, just like I'm a little kid. But so then at least when I get inspired, I can have the ability to quickly be able to do some art. But it is frustrating not to be able to do it when I want to do it.
Right.
It made me realize how awesome school was.
Yes, the freedom.
Like, I never thought I would miss it.
Let's talk about sunflowers. This sounds crazy because we've got this big giant painting going on and we've got this one in the front. When I first walked in the studio, sunflower was the very first thing that I saw.
Oh, really?
Love that piece. And it's just on wood. To me, it's something that's so simple, but yet it says a lot. I get just happy summer feelings looking at it.
And that's exactly what you're supposed to get out of it.
Yay!
Yeah, I bought some sunflowers at the farmer's market last weekend, and I just loved them so much. I'm like, I'm going to take them to the studio and I'm going to paint them. And so I sat down and essentially I approached it like it was a sketch, and it turned out to be more than a sketch.
And you said the wood was just laying around the studio. You had no purpose for it.
Yep, it was a piece from a different project that I had been working on. It was part of a goose.
Oh, alrighty then.
And I ended up not needing that piece for the goose, so it was just laying around, and I'm like, I'm going to use this.
Very cool. Yes, I like it very much. You've got a lot of nice complementary colors there, and that's something that I struggle with. I'm not an artist by any means, but I never think that I can put like blue and green together if I'm drawing something or designing something, because it always looks weird to me. But then I see this from a true artist, and you've got green and you've got some blue going on there, and it all just fits together perfectly.
Well, color was a really big part of my schooling, so that's the one thing that I'm very attentive to the color. Like, color's my thing. I hope that one day I can officially call myself a colorist, but I don't feel like I'm there yet.
What about the painting that's right above sunflowers? There's, again, a lot of texture going on there, a lot of bright colors. What was going on with you when that was created?
I was in a very quirky mood that day. I call that painting, "My Head is Full of Bubble Wrap."
I like it.
because some days I feel like my head is full of bubble wrap.
Nice.
But yeah, so those impressions are actual bubble wrap impressions. It has, that painting is also a different painting underneath it that I was like, I don't like where this is going. I'm going to change it. And so I quite literally dumped white paint on it, like way too much paint for a painting that size on it. I was just like moving it around and playing with it like a little kid in a sandbox.
Uh-huh.
I have a very playful way to approach my painting, and then I was like, I'm going to stick bubble wrap on top of it. And then it's a lot of, let's see, what did I all do in that painting? I put the bubble wrap on it, and then I took some sandpaper and sanded down to get some of the underneath layers to show up again.
Okay.
And it's a very long process, actually. I think I might have used some oil paint in that painting too, just
Okay.
because you can get really nice washes with oil paint, whereas acrylic, it can be a little bit more temperamental when doing that.
Okay.
But
I would have never thought to use something like bubble wrap to help a painting.
yeah, I came
My
up
mind
with it
just doesn't go
randomly
there.
one day and was just, I absolutely love the texture. I mean, it's even in this one too.
Oh, sure. And it does. It creates such a cool effect.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, it's even without being even.
Yes,
Does that make any sense to you?
I completely understand.
No one else understands that,
No.
but hey, you and I are on the same
Yeah,
page.
no, it's even without being even at all, because every bubble has its own unique form, but you still have the pattern.
Right. The pattern is there, and you can see the general layout of where it's going, but yet it's done in such an uneven way that it makes it very fun, very whimsical.
It has repetition without having repetition at all.
Very nice. I like that. Okay, the next one, next to that. I'm
next
loving
one.
that as well. I'm seeing, again, a lot of color. Is that also on canvas?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and then the huge frame around it, which I love.
The frame just got finished thanks to my dad. So, thank you, Daddy.
So you're bringing him in slowly, getting him
Yes.
involved in the
But
process.
he's just a lot better at craftsmanship with wood than I am, and there's a lot of angles involved. Like, I came up with the idea, and I proposed it to him, like, do you think you can do this? He's like, I don't know, but I will try.
Nice.
Because I had the painting, and it was on one of my postcards for my open studios, and it looked so awesome. And then when I put it on the wall, I'm like, something's missing. But it didn't have a black background.
Okay.
And that's what it needed to really draw you into the painting. But
So he built it from scratch.
yep,
Very cool.
started it about 3 times because of all the complex angles and stuff involved in it, but I couldn't be more pleased with the way it turned out.
Yeah, it looks very cool. Now, is something like that typically hanging in your studio, or is that hanging in your kitchen, or are all of these near you all the time?
Yes. Well, my head is full of bubble wrap has been at my house because
Okay.
I enjoy
Probably
it so
appropriately
much.
so.
Yeah, it makes me giggle, so I have it there. The rest of them are actually all at the studio.
Okay.
And they are all for sale, too. So,
Okay. I was just going to ask you about that. Where can we find your art? Where can we find you if people are interested?
the best place is at my studio. So, Building 13 of Banbury Place, this complex.
Okay.
Studio 213. So, I'm upstairs. Actually, next weekend's my open studio. So.
Oh, very cool. Is that
That's-
something that you'll be advertising that people will know
Yes,
about?
it's in volume 1 in the events calendar.
Okay.
They actually are doing an article about me. This, the one that, or the episode, or not episode, the issue that comes out on Thursday.
Okay.
Has an article about me in it, and I have a Facebook page that I try to keep everyone updated and
Very
whatnot.
cool.
So
you're getting out there.
I am getting out there. I think I'm doing pretty good considering I graduated 2 years ago.
Well, and
So-
considering that you're working full-time and you're not able
Exactly.
to dedicate all of your life's work to art.
Exactly. I do have a couple of pieces hanging up at Infinity Beverages, also in Building 13.
Okay.
I did a commission for them of some wine glasses,
Oh, very cool.
of their specific wine bottles, actually. So that was fun.
Is that something that people, if they are looking for something specific, Can they get in touch with you? Do
Definitely.
you take requests, so to speak, for paintings?
Definitely. I love doing commissions. Because, I mean, I do this when I'm left to my own accord. But it's really nice to stop and do something else, too. Like, it's nice to have a break, even if it is from my own self.
Right.
Plus, it gives me an opportunity to, A, show people that I can do other things. Like, this is not the extent of my abilities. I like to be able to show that I can do these other things, too.
Okay.
I mean, I think I can pretty much paint everything, as far as I'm aware, at least.
Nice.
I haven't had to turn down a commission or anything, because I was like, oh, no, I can't do that, but...
What materials do you typically work with other than canvas and wood?
Those are pretty much my main materials.
Okay.
I mean, I do play with a lot of things, like with the bubble wrap, and sometimes I'm working on a piece that's on paper right now, actually.
Okay.
I would have brought it, but it looks a little odd at the moment, so...
An artist is never happy with their piece until it's done.
Exactly.
Isn't that true?
Well, and maybe not even then.
Well, that's why it's art, and it's nice that you can just cover it up and start over again.
Exactly. And sometimes, you know, there's a certain element of, I always have to remind myself to not go too far, because you can go too far. I've had a painting where I'm like, okay, it's done, and then I did something to it and had to spend like 5 more hours on it.
What's the weirdest painting that you would say that you've worked on?
Probably this one.
Okay.
Because of how disgusting it was at one point. It really looked like it had a disease. In fact, my professor asked me if that was what I was trying to do. I'm like, well, not necessarily.
It's the Black Plague in art form or something crazy.
Yeah, it was really strange for a while, but I mean, a lot of my stuff is kind of strange.
Well, art is subjective, so.
Exactly. I mean, I have these creepy creatures that I do that are kind of strange in their own sense.
Oh, look at that.
These ones are actually
on canvas tote bag. Very
cool.
You can
wear your art.
Very cool.
But I haven't decided on a name for him yet. He's very new. This is Henry, though.
Very cool.
So these are really funny and odd, too.
Right.
I usually just start with a shape. Like Henry, I started with his head shape.
Okay.
And then kind of went from there. I started with the glasses on him. I still need
him, her, it.
I don't know. Maybe his name will be Larry. We'll
Larry with a red hat and a pearl earring.
Yes. I try to, like, just, I don't know. I like to make random little creatures, and these give me a chance to really just play around with forms and stuff.
And what a fun way to do it. I mean, I know that these bags can be pretty cheap. You can turn out all kinds of these and sell them and get your name out there.
Yeah, and I mean, it's functional art, which is hard to find, especially in the painting variety.
Absolutely. So this is something that you're carrying around, or others are carrying around. They're advertising for you everywhere they go.
Exactly. Plus, it's free advertisement.
Exactly. No, that's a great idea. Those are very cute. And it shows, I'm glad that you pulled these out because it kind of shows your whimsical side as well. Yes. We have a lot of very serious, meaningful things here, the anger painting and the cute sunflowers that make you happy. And this showcases that too, that you can do a lot of variety of things.
And I like to do the quirky, like usually when I'm painting my creepy creatures, as I call them, I am just laughing my butt off. Like they're just hilarious to me. I don't know exactly why, but I'm just pulling random things out of my head, and they're so funny. And
you just go with it, and that's what you end up with.
Just go with it, and people
very cute.
Tend to think they're also very funny.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and Henry, the only thing that's missing from him is the little helicopter on the top of his hat. That was the first thing it reminded me of, and I thought, oh my gosh, he's so cute.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Very cool. Okay, so I've asked you about the weirdest painting that you've done. What's been your favorite piece of artwork that you have done?
I think Metamorphosis is probably my favorite.
So they're both here?
Yes. Well, and there's one at my studio that's about a quarter done, that I'm really, really pushing this idea of multimedia, and more so than I have ever before, even with like this one with the collage journal entries. This one that I'm working on has, right now it's just canvas, but I'm adding fabric to it, and then I'm going to be doing some beading work on top of that, and it's already has a lot of sewing involved and it's a really exciting piece.
That sounds very cool.
I'm really excited about where it's going, so we'll see. Hopefully, maybe by the time Christmas rolls around, I'll have that one done, but it's
okay.
Because there's so much stuff involved with it, it's going to take me a while. Plus, I had to figure out how to sew. So I hadn't sewn since 8th grade.
This is a learning opportunity for you as well. Oh gosh. Well, and I don't think that people would put sewing and painting together very often.
No.
That you wouldn't even think of. How did you even come up with that idea?
That's a good question. Oh, actually, I started making a painting quilt. I have had a lot of little paintings, and I decided to start sewing them together. And eventually, I would like to make a quilt out of them. Okay. Now, sewing canvas that's already painted is really difficult. You have to pre-poke all of your holes, and definitely use a thimble, because otherwise your fingers will bleed from stabbing yourself and just the pure pressure of putting a needle through canvas. Okay. So it's only about this big right now. And so
it's more of a
12 hours worth of sewing
coaster at the moment.
Exactly. I would really like to make it an actual quilt size. Like I'm imagining that eventually it'll be a queen-sized quilt painting, and then I'll display it on a quilt hanger, like those. Yeah.
That's a very cool idea.
So eventually, I hope to get that done. It was going to be for my BFA show, and then I got this far and was like, that's 12. That was 12 hours worth of sewing. I have 5 other paintings that I need to finish. So
so that's a work in progress.
Put back a little bit, but I'm slowly working on adding to it and whatnot. And some of my more messy paintings, I have drop cloths that go with them. Okay. And when the pieces of those drop cloths look really interesting, then I add them to the quilt. So
cool.
Eventually, I think it'll be this really interesting piece that is going to span a couple of years.
That's a great project to have.
And it'll show my evolution through while I've been doing abstract work, because it has a piece of my first abstract piece that I did.
So what about when you create something and the goal is to make money, so you want to sell it, but is it really, really hard to part with something after you've been with it for that long and you've gotten attached to it?
It is. I have 3 paintings of an Alice in Wonderland series that I started, and they've got price tags on them reluctantly, but I mean, if someone is willing to pay me that much, then I will part with them.
Okay.
But I mean, one of them I literally painted for 4 solid months.
Oh, wow.
And so for me to get rid of it is just, it was my whole life for 4 months. Like I don't want to get rid of it.
Right.
Plus it's sitting above my couch. I'd have a really big empty space.
You'd have to start again on another 4-month-long project.
Because it's 5.5 feet by 4 feet. So it's huge.
Wow. But like you said, I mean, the goal is to make money. So if someone's willing to buy it from you, I would think that an artist would say, well, yep, you go home, give it a good home.
Like, well, I have I have a photograph of it, so I will survive. As long as I can come visit it sometime.
Oh, there you go. Hey, that could just go with every painting.
Yes.
That's just the contingency.
I have told the couple of paintings that I've sold, I've been like, okay, now, if I call you and need to spend some time with my painting, is that okay? Because it's a part of me. These are my babies.
Yeah, I can see where you would get very attached. Well, again, we're running out of time, so tell us again how we can find you, where we search on Facebook. I know we can come down to Banbury, Building 13.
Yes.
Is that the main way to get in touch with you?
That really is the best way to get a hold of me. And I participate in the monthly market, along with a couple other people that are in the building, and we're slowly adding more people who are participating.
Okay.
But yeah, really, Building 13, Studio 213.
And
the
they can
best
watch
way to
Volume
find me.
1 and read more
Yes.
about you.
Definitely in Volume 1. If you go on Facebook and search Paintings by Dana, you'll find me.
Okay.
That's
Sounds
pretty much
good.
the best way. I'm working on getting a website. Hopefully within the year we'll get that up.
Those are
But-
tricky, but yet
Yeah.
necessary in this
Exactly.
day and age.
It's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important.
Right.
So I will do it and I'll get it up there, and I'm hoping soon it'll be up.
Well, good luck with the open house next
Thank
weekend, you
you.
said? Saturday
Yes.
and Sunday? Just Saturday?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they can come down to your studio. They
Yep.
can check out all of your work there. They can buy your work. They can request for you to make something for them.
Exactly. I have prints for sale too, so if you can't afford a large painting, you can buy a small version of it.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, her name is Dana Sterzinger. If you need to find her, like she said, she is on Facebook, and she is here in Banbury Place, Building 13. Thank you very much for being with us,
Thank
and good luck
you.
on everything. And hopefully someday you are painting and thriving and not holding down a full-time job other than that.
Yes, I hope so.
That's the end game, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks very much for joining us on this version of Artists of the Chippewa Valley. If you want to get in contact with community television to have any of your art featured, get in touch with them here at CTV, and we will get you on the air and get some promotions for you. Thanks for joining us.
This program was recorded and presented by Chippewa Valley Community Television. Chippewa Valley Community Television is made possible by continuing community support. If you'd like to volunteer or make a donation, you can contact us by calling 715-839-5067 or on the web at www.cvctv.org.